Hi, I'm Christina Cameli, and I want to talk to you about Quilting Waves. Waves are one of my favorite things to free motion quilt. They have a great textural effect, and they're wonderful as the base of a vine or a feather. I really like it when I can get waves to repeat each other and see the dimension that that brings forth, like in this sample right here. I have a little wave template here that's great for auditioning designs. I can just see what something would look like if I just did a straight echo of the design. Or I could mirror the design and get a totally different look. Oh, I used the wrong curve there, but that's okay. We can see what happens when we use two curves together. Kind of an interesting pomegranate effect there. Once I've got a design that I know I want to quilt, then I just have to figure out exactly how to make it happen. What I'm going to use today is a quilting ruler, and in order to use a quilting ruler, I also have to have the ruler foot, which allows me to do free motion work, but is safe for me to put the ruler up against the foot while I'm free motion quilting so that the ruler can't slip under the foot or over the foot, and there's not going to be any needle disasters with the needle hitting the ruler, the quilting ruler. So this ruler is made to be a repeating design, and so I want to show you, if you have a ruler like this, how to use the markings on it. There's two different kinds of markings that I'm using. One is the grid lines, and that's going to help me keep my piece oriented correctly so it doesn't drift and angle off as I go across my piece. If you were going across a quilt, you could get off course pretty significantly without realizing it. So what I've done to utilize these grid lines is draw some lines straight down my piece. And I've done that about every 3 inches because that's roughly the width that I'm dealing with here with the template. There's also the horizontal lines, and that's going to help me line up my starting place each time I begin a new row. You might not need that if you're just starting at the edge of your quilt top. That can be your starting line. Now there are 2 thick lines on the top and bottom of the ruler, and they have some words next to them that say needle stop. And those are helpful because this ruler can help me get a repeating pattern that goes way longer than the ruler, all the way across my quilt top if I want. And so that's going to tell me exactly where the design repeat starts and stops. So I'm going to pay attention to that so I know when to stop, reposition my ruler, and then restart. What I want to do here is this shifting wave design that I've quilted over here. This wave design, instead of being a straight echo of the design of the line before it, slowly shifts. So you can see the curve that's going this way slowly shifts and moves across the piece there. So let me show you how I'm starting off. I get really disoriented when I'm looking at a ruler with this many lines, so I have to give myself a little help, and that's what I've done with these little tiny sticky notes and the arrows. That just tells me which line I'm supposed to be lining up, and it helps me know where I was when I go to start the next line. The other tool that I use to help me have success is I have some little grippy product on the back of the ruler, just so it's a little less likely to slip around on me while I'm quilting. All right, so I'm going to use my sticky notes to line me up with one of these marked lines on my piece. And I'll start right here. This will be my starting line. I've got my ruler foot on. I've got my free motion feet, or my feed dogs down. And I'll take a stitch in and pull that bottom thread up. You can wear whatever gloves you usually wear for free motion quilting, or maybe you're some kind of amazing quilter who doesn't need gloves at all. That's fine too. Whatever you feel comfortable with normal free motion quilting will probably work just fine when you're using the ruler. This ruler is 10 inches long, so I'm going to have to stop and reposition my hands as I use it. That's fine. I'm just paying special attention to keeping the edge of that ruler foot right up against the ruler. Now I'm coming up to the needle stop point here. And there I'm stopping right when my needle is directly across from that stop point, and now I can lift my ruler up, reposition it so the other stop point is there, and make sure that my lines are, make sure that my vertical line is lined up with the mark. And now I can start again. If you didn't want precise lines, it would be faster to just freehand this. But because I want the lines to be precise and to do this geometric thing across the quilt top, I'm taking the time to go slow and follow my ruler. So there, I finished one piece, and now let me show you how I move my guide. I'm going to move it over a 1/2 inch. Each of these lines are a 1/4 inch apart. And I'm going to move this one up a 1/4 inch. And so I'm lining this one up with my stop line now. I'm a 1/4 inch down from where it was. And I'm lining my line up with my guide line there. And now I'm ready to start again. Sometimes the ruler will shift on you. You'll get better at it as time goes on. And coming up to my needle stop point, there we go. And lining up my guide line again. And let me stitch one more of these lines. And if you see how close I'm getting to how close the stitching is to the edge of the ruler there, you might be concerned, but remember that whenever you're using one of these rulers, your stitching ends up a 1/4 of an inch away from the edge of the ruler. And there, you can already see that that shift is starting to happen with the waves. Now, one other thing to think about here is that the waves could just be the structure of other free motion quilting designs that you do. So I could have this wave and then a mirror of the wave. And now I've created a little pocket that I can put something in. And you can put in whatever you like in there. You could put little nested arcs. Or if you like feathers, you could put a feather in there. Or maybe fill it up with pebbles. Anything that strikes your fancy. If I was doing this on a quilting design, then what I would make sure and do is to give it a little definition by echoing the line that I did. If I'm going to put a line in as a design element, I'm usually going to echo it because that gives a lot more dramatic impact. And you could repeat this, you could repeat a design like that all the way across the quilt with the waves providing the structure for the other free motion quilting that you want to do. I hope you've enjoyed learning about free motion quilting waves.